1. Almost there. Oh, here we go, everybody. Oh, shit, I still fucked it up a little bit. Okay, whatever. It's fine. We're live. Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode 24 of Laughing Into the Void. I'm your host, Tom, and co-hosting with me tonight, as always, is the lovely Rosalind Paris.
Hi.
You can watch our previous broadcasts on the District Comedy YouTube and Facebook channels or listen to them on most podcast platforms. If you enjoy the stream, please consider making a donation of any size or following us on social media using the links in the description. But here with us today, we have Bob Rose.
Hello.
Ooh.
Bob Rose is a comedy filmmaker and comedy podcaster. His podcast, Thunder Grunt, has clocked over 250 episodes. You can find him on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Thunder Grunt Bob. Thank you so much for being with us today. Let's jump right in. Woo, 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 woo.
Thank you for having me. And I want to say the actual hilarity of the fact that I was going to ask you guys if I could take a bathroom break right at the beginning.
Yeah.
I actually need to go to the bathroom.
That's okay. Yep. That's fine.
I did not expect this.
We'll stall for time.
Yeah, I was like, I'm really sorry, but this is a great way to open an episode.
Yeah,
this is very
just
definitive of who
quick.
I am. I'm going to turn my camera off real quick. I am so sorry, but if it's going to be
good.
a problem.
No.
This is hilarious.
You do you. I'm like, he muted himself too, right? Okay. If we
I
hear
didn't
any
myself.
Okay.
But I'm not.
Whatever
I'm not
wanna
taking
share.
I'm not taking you into the bathroom with me.
Okay.
Yeah, we're not quite that in depth with our journalism.
I'll be right back. I am
be.
so sorry.
You're good. Talk about like
Don't worry about it.
getting to see, behind the man.
Yeah.
The man behind the podcast. He posts just like everybody.
So I guess while we're waiting for Bob to exercise some demons. Yeah, so I actually I've known Bob for 7-ish years now, I think. Yeah, a long time. And the reason I invited him on is I thought it would be like a cool perspective for us, since we usually have comedians or mostly just comedians on here.
Yeah, we were trying to go over it before the show started, and it's like we had Katie Dubois, who is like a theater producer and filmmaker, and we had Ginger, drag queen and stand-up.
She's still yeah.
And Ed, who's like a stand-up but does like character work, and then
Dad Ghost,
Ghost Dad,
who would never call himself a comedian, but he co-hosts a
Yeah,
comedic
Mondo.
event with me.
Oh yeah, you can take a second since we have time if you want to plug Mondo.
Yeah, actually, I'm kind of excited for this Friday's feature. So some of our longtime viewers submitted this movie. It's called The Diamond Arm.
Ooh.
The Diamond Arm. And it's a Soviet-era Russian James Bond knockoff. Which is a little bit new of a concept for us. But so, as always, we're on Cast. All you have to do is download the app and search for Mondo Baltimore. We have a clip show. I believe it's going to be Russian themed for obvious reasons at 7.
Kind of wondering, like, if it's a Russian James Bond, then who the villain's gonna be. Because aren't the villains normally Russian in James Bond films traditionally?
I mean, yeah, in most of them, yeah, up until...
It'll have to be the Americans to balance everything out.
Although, weirdly, there is one James Bond movie that, like, basically an Osama bin Laden figure is, like, his ally.
Oh.
That one did not age well.
No, it did not. But sorry, I interrupted you.
No, it's fine.
Find Mondo, look for it on Cast. And
yeah.
What time was it again? Did you say that already?
Clip show at 7, movie at 8. And we're doing an intermission game of some sort, but we don't know what that is just yet.
So Friday, clip show at 7, and movie at 8 on Cast. Look up Mondo.
Kast. Yeah.
Woo. Awesome.
Yeah.
I'll also take a second to plug. Believe it or not, I don't always just host shows. Sometimes I do comedy too. And I'm also very forgetful, so I forgot that I had made myself some stuff to promote my comedy stuff when it's not district comedy, called Tomb Comedy, because of how my initials work. So if you want to give those like and a follow on the Facebooks and the Instagrams, it's at Tomb Comedy, TOMB.
I like it.
Well, luckily Chris still reads it as Tom B Comedy, which is how I intended it. But also, I don't mind. Like, I've been told I have a dark, twisted sense of humor, you know?
I mean, to be fair, I've been reading it as Tom B Comedy also, but now I'm going to read it as Tomb Comedy.
Dun dun dun. Like,
It's
if
a
I
little
had a
colder.
logo, I'd have to incorporate, like, a tombstone somehow. But it also
You could
feels
have you like Nosferatu, like,
Nice.
ooh, I'm here to make you laugh.
Honestly, I'd be a hot vampire, so that's fine.
Yeah, and then you could get an OnlyFans.
We have one already. I can plug that too, but I wanted
There's
to grab it just in case. There's no content on it. But if you look for at Dick Strict Comedy,
Strict Comedy.
that's an OnlyFans that we technically have. And I think I'm just gonna hold on to it until like somebody else will want that username and be willing to pay a lot of money for it. And that's when I'll cash in. Some people it was like GameStop stocks. For me, it's OnlyFans handles.
Yeah. It's to be fair.
I'm back.
funny.
Yay!
I am so sorry.
All right, give it up for Bob Rose, everybody.
I'll turn on my camera. Hold on a
I'm
second.
like kind of on the fence on whether or not I want to include this segment when we do
Oh,
like,
please
the
do.
polished
I'm-
podcast.
No, you should include it. It's really funny as long as Bob doesn't mind.
I don't care.
Oh my god.
Okay.
And you
We're
said
still
you were
live.
gonna
Are we
try
live
and-
right now?
No,
We're
yeah,
still live right now, yeah. So yeah.
We went and like shamelessly plugged some things for ourselves.
Let me
I
turn
plugged
off.
Mondo. So
Thank you. I'm really sorry. So we're talking earlier about mental illness and stuff. I have also diagnosed with several physical illnesses, one of them being IBS.
Woo!
So sometimes out of nowhere, things become a problem.
yeah.
So yeah,
Happens to all of us.
I am very sorry, but that's
Yeah.
very indicative of who I am. Roz can tell you.
Bob
That's
has a
good,
lot of
not
really
full
good
of shit.
poop stories.
Yeah, I do have poop stories in my life because having a bathroom is the most important thing in life.
I had a roommate in college who's Puerto Rican, and she had IBS, and like she was like really kind of like bitchy, and like she'd be like dressing someone down for like not washing their dishes or something, and she'd just stop and she'd be like, "I have to shit," and she would like just like turn and just like waddle away. And it was the funniest thing. Like
My
she'd be like screaming at her boyfriend on the phone in Spanish, and then I just hear, "I have to shit," and she would hang up on him and run to the bathroom.
That's also like a great way to end a conversation that you don't want to have.
Yeah.
I've done that. Well, I mean, I've done that several times because I've sort of built up a reputation with my friends because of my own admission about how much and how often I shit. Because apparently shitting like 3 to 5 times a day isn't normal for some people. Some people don't do it for like once every 3 days, once a week.
Oh my god, they're sick.
Yeah, I know. I was like, what are you eating? What are you
Cheese,
eating?
only cheese.
Only right. So the fact that I go so much, that's part of who I am as a person because it always literally affects every social encounter I have.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
We'll say this is one topic in comedy that we have not touched on yet. Is
we
IBS
have
and
it, which is weird considering
So-
how popular a topic it is.
Well,
by
on
the mics that I go to.
I was gonna say on top of IBS, I also have my gallbladder removed, which adds an extra fun.
Oh no.
Like everything is just like when it happens, it's gonna happen whether you like it or not.
No, I still love the idea because I also have my performance appraisal at work coming up next week. So if it's going south and I don't want to finish that conversation,
You can do that.
that's going to be my out.
shit.
Yeah.
No one's gonna say no.
I'll tell you this, my longest, probably I would call it my most successful relationship started with us flirting for about an hour while I sat on a stool trying not to shit myself. Like literally trying, like that's the only thing I could think about was clamping it down because I wanted to keep talking to her. I was really enjoying it, but the whole time I was like ready to explode.
Oh my God.
And I had to basically make up an excuse why when the show we were watching was over, why I was going to hang out for a little while. Because I had to run to the bathroom. Is this too much shit talk?
No, that's fine. I was actually going to say the irony of needing to shit while sitting on a stool.
Ooh, double stool.
Yeah, it's a pun. Anyway, we do have other questions though if we want to dig into that.
Yes,
we do. We need to at least start with the same question.
We can always come back to poop.
My lighting is so much worse here. God, I'm sorry.
No, fine.
But yeah, so we start and end every interview with the same question for every guest. So the first official question we'll ask you, other than poop stuff, is how would you describe your sense of humor to someone who maybe's never seen your work?
So I get this a lot in film festivals, and some friends, like tangential friends that usually, or even close friends that usually describe me. I think they usually say something akin to Tim and Eric, as far as my filmmaking is concerned, or even my sense of humor. I don't view myself like that, even though I'm a huge fan of Tim and Eric. I view myself more in the vein of Kids in the Hall. That's my sense of Kids in the Hall is kind of like it really defines the core of my sense of humor, but I really like everything. You can't really pin me down on what I like and watch, but from what I make, I aim for Kids in the Hall, especially Bruce McCullough. If you guys remember his sketches, specifically how weird,
like a little bit absurdist, maybe.
Absurdist. If you were one of the most defining sketches of my life is Love and Sausages. I don't know if you guys remember that sketch. It's
that one.
Bruce McCullough, and it's like a German expressionist short film almost, where it's about him falling in love with a woman, but he's a guy that works at a sausage factory, and he has to steal sausages for his hungry grandfather.
Oh,
it's wonderful. If you can ever find it, watch that. But that's my sense of humor, really. It's Kids in the Hall. Yeah.
Awesome. And I think it is good to distinguish that, and I've said this before, but it's particularly true for me, I feel, but like, my sense of humor is not necessarily the same as the stuff that I like, you know?
Like, right.
I wish I could do, no, I don't. I was going to say, I wish I could be an edgy comic. I really don't. I don't give a shit about that. But like, you know, I wish I could tackle some material that, you know, I can't, because I know my brand too well.
No, I agree. Like, I watch stuff as popular as The Office, but I don't think I could write The Office. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I couldn't write Parks and Rec. I wouldn't want to, but I like it.
Yeah.
It's nothing like anything I've made, but I like it.
Yay! Awesome.
Yeah, it's like, it's kind of like there's a difference between like what your influences are and what you enjoy, you know?
Right.
Like, because for me too, I would say probably Kids in the Hall is one of my biggest comedic influences. And I think like a lot of people around our age like grew up watching them after school on Comedy Central. So they like kind of had like a resurgence.
It's our age group too, where you would say Comedy Central, because that's where I found Kids in the Hall. It's not when it originally aired or anything. It was constant daily reruns. Like Comedy Central was Kids in the Hall and 90s SNL for like 10 years. That's all they had. It was those two things.
Yeah. So, but
did that answer the question? Probably.
Totally did.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good.
To summarize, if you're just tuning in, he likes absurdist stuff a la Kids in the Hall, and yeah, that's good. And then also kind of using that, wondering about, because obviously with 250 episodes, Thunder Grunt, and you also said, I think before we were airing, that he's been doing this podcast for 10 years.
So I've been podcasting for 10 years.
Oh, I see.
Let me be clear. I started out on another Baltimore show that actually got a good fan base for a while. It was called An Innocent Looking Bookstore, and we did that for about 4 years, and that had to die because we literally spent 9 hours recording episodes, and we did one every week. It was a nightmare. Yeah, big ups to my friend Matt, who used to edit it and everything. It was crazy. We were young. What do you want? So I learned my lesson from that. We started our own network called Thunder Grunt, which had several shows that I was not on and our friends weren't on, but we were trying to make an umbrella. We did that for about 3 years and it completely failed. It was a good experiment, but it totally failed. When that failed, I kept the Thunder Grunt name and turned it into my own thing and made it one podcast with multiple shows on it. And I control what the shows are now. So it's my thing now. But it's been a 10-year up and down dramatic, dramatic story to get to where I am now, I guess.
Nice. So, like, kind of going through that, have you found that you really prefer the dynamic of, like, working primarily like on your own, or do you kind of miss having more involved partners?
Are you talking about like pre and post pandemic type of thing, or because
yeah, we could throw the pandemic dynamic
if I've learned the interesting thing about the pandemic, I think, is that it's when most people started podcasts, because really what else can you do besides make right no shade. I don't want to throw shade on that. That I think that's a very valid thing, because what people are home, they're stuck. You can totally get your voice out there. For me, oddly enough, the first part of the pandemic, I don't know, Roz, if you remember me even posting about this, but I stopped podcasting. That was my response to the pandemic. I was like, I don't have anything left to say. I had nothing left to say on anything, so I just didn't want to even talk. But I've learned in the last year that the value of podcasting to me, as much as I like the Zoom stuff, and I do my one show on Zoom and I've done interviews on Zoom since for my podcast, but I've learned that the value for me is in person. The reason I did it for 10 years was because it was hanging out with my friends.
Oh,
that's true. I mean, there's recorded laughter of my own voice more than most humans will ever laugh in their entire life. And I can't, and that to me is my value. And since the pandemic took that away, I have not been nearly as enthusiastic about it. Is that the kind of thing you were looking for?
That's exactly the deep shit that I love. And it also, like, kind of, I've never thought of that about that before, and it kind of makes me grateful, because obviously the people have heard me say this before, but like me and Roz go way back doing the improv stuff. So it's a nice way to frame it, that like I've laughed probably more than like many people get to.
That's why doing this stuff makes it a cool life, because of the laughter, honestly.
And it's it's definitely been like a great coping mechanism for me. And on the other side of that, though, I do feel like it's been really cool doing some of the virtual stuff and like meeting some of the people, and like it's not the same. I do miss actual people, but like
I am not
laughs.
I don't want to shit on like Zoom podcasting or anything. I'm not doing that. I like during the pandemic, I did a podcast with Michael Winslow, with one of my best friends. That would never happen in person. Like, I'm never going to.
Spaceballs and Police Academy fame.
Yeah, sorry, Michael Winslow of Spaceballs and Police Academy fame. Like I've done interviews with a few people that live very far away from me, and that would have never happened had it not been for me switching to doing this type of stuff. So I'm not in any way insulting that. I'm just saying personally.
Well, no, and
having my friends,
the actual people part of it is huge.
It's huge. Yeah.
Well, I think too, I mean, like, as someone who's listened to a lot of Bob's his oeuvre of podcasts over the years, starting with an innocent looking bookstore, like, I think there's something highly improvisational to like your humor too, because a lot of it is just like organic interaction with your friends, which is like, I mean, a lot of the people that you're working with or who are routine guests are also probably some of the funniest people I'll ever meet.
Thanks. Well,
there's definitely like an aspect of it makes you feel like you're hanging out with your friends, but with better jokes.
I'm not going to thank you for that compliment. I don't know about the better jokes thing, but I think if we ever had anything going for us, specifically with my one show on Thunder Grunt, Bonus Disc, with my friend Matt, which we have not done at all during the pandemic, is that it has that aspect of it's like you're hanging out with us. And I've had a lot of friends tell me they re-listen to old episodes because they just want to be in a room with us again and normally, and that's the best way they can do it. And that the reason we haven't even tried to do it like this was mostly me, but that had value because Matt would come over with a guest. We'd watch a movie on a Saturday, we'd hang out, they'd smoke, we'd order food, then we do it, then we talk through the whole movie. It was like a whole day. I don't want to be on Zoom the whole day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to watch an entire movie with somebody and then talk over Zoom for like 3 hours about it. So that's, it has that value. There's an in-person thing, like live shows, live music versus someone playing their drums over Zoom.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Especially if they have shitty equipment.
Right.
Had a bad delay.
Right, yeah.
You're still on dial-up.
Oh, dial-up.
But on the producing side of it, as far as like, I guess the technical elements, is that something that maybe is preferable, where you have like more creative control and not have to like, I don't know, discuss as much? I'm a big fan of being my own boss. You mean
like the actual technical aspects, or like just the scheduling and all that stuff? Because
both sides.
I would say,
yeah,
the Zoom version, this version of podcasting, is so much easier. Like, I mean, like, I've tried to like make sure when I have guests, like, try to get them to sound the best as they can. But in the end, I'm like, whatever you got, and I have one audio stream that I just master, and that's what it is. It doesn't matter. It's not like the hours I used to spend trying to figure out how everyone in the room sounds the best. I covered my kitchen in foam. Mm-hmm. Like, I tried my best for years to make my podcast sound good, and here I am back at person screaming into their phone in their car, and I'm like, well, that's the best I can get. So it's less to edit, it's less to worry about completely. Yeah. And the scheduling's way easier because someone just has to pop on their computer.
Yeah.
And most people are always by that computer right now.
Right. Okay. That's all we got.
Yeah.
Well, right now I'm off work, so I'm looking at the good computer. The bad computer is downstairs.
Yeah, that's also like tangent, but like one of the really frustrating things is that I was teleworking and then stopped teleworking, and I get so much work done teleworking just because at work they give us like the shittiest computers. And I'm like, if I were running this on my computer at home, I'd be done by now. But no, I'm still waiting for this thing to fucking turn on.
Like it can almost not run Zoom type of shitty. Like, it's like that level.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just barely hanging on with Zoom.
It's like they probably came from like public surplus, like Linux auction. Like, that's where I imagine these came from. Like, you could get 50 computers for $50. What a deal.
Does it run on Windows Vista?
No, Millennium. Come on.
Oh, my God.
Oh, man.
I miss her. But, yeah.
I don't know her.
But with then, I guess we kind of already went into, like, some of the challenges. What's been your favorite part about kind of, I guess, the pandemic version of what you're doing, if there is a favorite part?
Really, my favorite part is that I started so my podcast has several shows on it. I'm on like 3 or 4 of them, but I do have some of my friend shows. But I made a new one during the pandemic where I can just talk to people, because I was like, the format of all my shows, really, I had nothing that would work like that. So doing that, I was able to talk to a few people who I met through different circles, like film circles and stuff, who don't live here. People that live in like Minnesota, or the fact that like Michael Winslow or somebody that's in New York. Like, I that's my favorite part, is I can get people that I would never be able to talk to.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's really it. I mean, because before, Roz can tell you, it was my friends. It was people who could drive to my house, which, that's where the value is. But you can get more famous people if you can get them from anywhere. Yeah.
As far and foreign as Minnesota.
Yeah.
From exotic land.
like
Idaho.
Minnesota. I don't know why I said Minnesota. One guy was from Minnesota, yeah. And he was great.
Yeah.
But that's my favorite part. Is it gives you the ability to do something that would never happen in Baltimore.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
All right, cool. I'm gonna go on to the next question just because I feel like you're very easy to talk to, and now I'm worried about it because I'm like, now I got an agenda to get through these questions.
Oh, okay.
We're probably
That's fine.
But okay.
Tom is very organized.
I wasted like 5 minutes of your time, so don't feel bad. I was already the asshole of this episode.
You're good. It was 7.
I'm sorry. I'm even more of an asshole.
No, I'm just kidding. Sorry. Although it's recorded, so we could. Somebody, if you're watching, go back and tell us how much time he spent in the bathroom. No,
No, it's funnier if we leave it in. You can't edit it out.
No, we're leaving it in, and then the people watching will do like a stats sheet.
I'm fine with all of it. Go ahead.
But yeah. So like we mentioned, you've done 250 episodes of the podcast. For somebody maybe like us, I don't know. What tips would you give for making a podcast sustainable in the long term? It seems like a lot of the motivation was that actually enjoy it because you were doing it with your friends.
Yeah, this is a great question because this is, like I told you about my original podcast, I learned a lot of lessons about what is not sustainable because the fact that we recorded for 5 to 9 hours sometimes, we wrote a skit, we wrote a fake commercial, we did all this stuff, and we had really ambitious goals there. The truth was, though, that had to die. It just, you had to stab it in the heart and kill it, no matter how much you loved it. But I learned that, number one, I don't edit the time, which I think you guys pretty much understand now because you're doing this live. Mm-hmm. I don't edit the talking anymore. And honestly, that took so much weight off it and made me go, I can do this forever because all I got to do is record it and then pop it up. Cause, it's just way easier. And I think some people, when they start out, they record 4 or 5 hours of something, and then they edit it all down to their 1 hour. And I'm like, do you understand? The post on that is insane. You have to listen to everything and then cut it cohesively into a conversation. Yeah. But also, I prefer the podcast I listen to it for it to be unedited talking. I prefer it myself as a listener. So.
Yeah, no, I think I tried 1 or 2 episodes just to do any editing at all, not even trying to clip it to make it shorter or anything, and I was just no. This is taking too long, and I feel so bad. The only one I regret is we had for this show Kelly Zemnikis on, and she is a comedian in Canada. Shout out Kelly, It'll Be Fine Baking show on YouTube. But she gave such a great interview, and then I realized after the fact that I had fucked up my own mic so horribly that there was just no way that I wasn't going to get all the horrible static and feedback out. I think either my volume was up all the way or my gain was just turned up all the way, and I was there's no saving this. That's the only one where I was I wish I had editing skills at this point, although I don't know if there was anything that could be done at that point.
Yeah, once you're peaking, it's kind of over.
Yeah. But
I find this to be more reliable because at least I can hear the other person and I'm recording my audio. Mm-hmm. If I was doing it in my kitchen like I used to do, I'm kind of just going by guessing. I'm I guess I can hear everyone, right? Or are they in the room? I guess every mic's picking it up. You know what I mean? And there's been mistakes have been made. Let's say that. Yeah. Mistakes were made. I actually lost 2 episodes completely just from bad SD cards. What do you do? You can't, we're at the mercy of technology. So
yeah.
Oh God, that sounds horrible. Also,
I felt
would
terrible.
definitely be the person to accidentally never turn on my mic and just. Well, we thought you were good because you heard me in the other room because I'm just a loud person.
If I had to make a suggestion for anyone buying equipment or anything. Mm-hmm. Buy mics with phantom power. Don't buy the ones you have to turn on for them to work because of what you just said. I literally recorded an entire podcast where someone didn't flick the switch or flick it hard enough and their mic was off the entire time. And you just don't, you just go, you just power through and you find out later. So yeah, always buy phantom power mics if you're doing it live because you want them to be on all the time.
Oh wow.
That's a good tip.
Yeah, it's very simple, but it's
I'm gonna have to look up what that is. And
Phantom power just
if
means
I
like
have
it has no on-off button. It's powered by the source. So,
Oh, awesome! Yay.
Yeah.
We're good, Roz.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
yeah. Oh yeah, well like this, you got the zoom, right? So you're good.
Oh well, the Zoom isn't like recording the audio.
Oh, okay.
It like goes into OBS, and OBS could be recording it, but I've been relying on like the fact that it streams to YouTube to be like my archive of all the stuff. Because if I ever needed it, I could just download it from YouTube. But
I use OBS well. It's also.
What's that?
I also use OBS. It's great.
Yay!
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes I'm speaking a foreign language when I talk about OBS. I've had people like try and like ask me, "Oh, how do you get like a timer on your stream?" And I'm like, "Oh, well, you do this, and this." And like when you actually get the program, it's actually not that bad, but sometimes I don't know. It's a little bit of a learning curve for sure. Anyway, sorry.
Sorry, Ross.
No, it's
I know how
fine.
much you love OBS.
I'm never going to be mad at Tom for talking shop because he literally makes all of this happen. I just show up.
Oh my god. I'm also like, because I have poor like skills as far as like monitoring myself, so I'll go on another tangent. I've also been trying to migrate the website over from like HostGator to GitHub, so I don't have to pay like a very small annual fee. And I'm dying. Like, it is so much effort, and it's not worth it. It's gonna save me like, I don't know, $5 a month. But
yeah, I've thought about doing the same thing with Anchor, because Anchor came on the scene, and Anchor's like also a free podcasting hosting thing. And I was like, I've been doing this for 10 years, and I have like 4 friends who started podcasts on Anchor, and I was like, what's with Anchor? And they're like, it's free. It's basically YouTube for podcasts. And I was like, of course. It's like, I've been doing it for 10 years. I'm still paying for those for my shit.
Yeah.
And everyone who just started right now is doing it completely free. Okay.
Oh, God.
Yeah, and I don't feel like migrating it because I know it's a big pain in the ass. So
yeah, it's the website at least hasn't been fun. I don't know about podcasting. I feel like I've already had issues and I have like lost full episodes. Really, it was just like an unedited version of Brooks's our first episode of this podcast, but it's fine. Anyway, back on track. Yeah. Roz, do you want to ask the next question?
About
Betwixt.
Oh yeah. So okay. So in addition to the podcast, you're also a filmmaker. I believe one of your older. Okay. Yeah. Bob says he's not a filmmaker, but he has short films that he has created.
Right.
I'm just
a filmmaker. I just make films.
I'm just self-depreciating. It's one of those things where I know the people in my circles and in my outer circles that call themselves a filmmaker constantly, and I can't stand those people. So I want to be not those people as much as I can be. So I cringe.
Not a filmmaker is like complimenting yourself.
Yeah, I'm like, no, don't call me that, because then there's all this stuff attached to it. But sorry, Roz, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're fine. As a brief motion picture originator.
Yeah.
So you've got like a decent amount of films. I know you submit to festivals pretty recently, and Poetry Betwixt Friendship, I think, was recently screened at the Alamo Draft House.
Yeah, it was. It was for this thing called Grindsploitation Fest. It's a cool festival. I didn't think I'd get in. This short I made 2012, like literally a decade ago. Yeah. So I made it a decade ago. It's just a YouTube, like as far as I considered, nothing would ever happen with it again. But they were like, we don't care when you made stuff. So I submitted it, and I was like, oh, the Alamo Draft House,
Yeah.
I also consider myself really good at submitting things where I know some filmmakers aren't. Like, they'll make a short or they'll make a movie, and then they just sort of submit it to one festival and just wait for every rejection or acceptance. And you never, no one ever sees it. They just kind of hide their stuff away. I've never been like that. I'm like, no, I'll put it on YouTube. I don't care. I'm not trying to make money with films. But I'll put it on YouTube, and I will submit it to, like, it's really a spaghetti at the wall type of thing. Like, if it's, I'll submit it to a bunch of fests, and if anything sticks, I'll be happy. So it's not that no one likes this stuff. I'm just saying, like, I know that part of it.
Yeah.
And I've grown over the years in the last 10 years to be pretty good at, if I have a short film, I can make sure someone will see it.
Yeah.
Some fest will see it, or, you know, whatever. So
yeah,
no, and I'm proud of that. It's not like I'm trying to throw all my shit in the garbage, but
No, that's
you
awesome.
shouldn't.
Yeah.
It's also digital, so I don't think you could actually do that unless. But so how did you start making films? You know, like, how old were you? What was like the synthesis behind it? Where did it all start?
It also, I mean, obviously, it's the most obvious story. My parents bought me a camcorder, and then I made a bunch of stuff with my dog. Like, my dog, I had like my dog with puppets, you know, and I used to make like an entire TV show with my dog, which no one will ever see, like, ever, because it's just atrocious. But I used to do that kind of stuff, and then, I mean, like, you know, Roz, movies are my life. Whether I make them, I'm always going to just be a critic, or like, watching them. Most of the stuff I talk about as movies, if I didn't make them, I wouldn't be happy, even if it's just a short film every few years. Like, I have to do it every now and then just to be a part of it. You know, I don't need to, you know, make full-length features every year to be happy, but I need to make something.
Yeah.
You know? And most of my movies, I consider them making fun of filmmaking too, so there's another added layer to that, and making fun of myself.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and I think that was actually I had a lot of similar motivations, because also before the pandemic, our improv troupe had just broken up, and then when things went into lockdown, I was like, I need to do something creative.
Right. Isn't it like, it's like swelled in my stomach, the whole, as much as I felt like I couldn't move for 6 months.
Yeah.
At the same point, I was like, I gotta make something. And I did make a movie with friends that is being submitted to festivals. So I did make actually a feature-length movie with some friends that I met at festivals during the pandemic, and eventually that will be, I don't know what's going to happen with that, but, you know, it'll eventually be available for people. But yeah,
What's it called?
it's called The Transformations of the Doctors Jenkins. It's pretty weird. It's a Zoom movie.
Okay.
And it involves filmmakers from all over the world.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So,
Yeah,
and we
really
spent a
cool.
couple months doing that, and I made a segment for it, and I'm one of the people in charge of making it, and I made a segment for it, and I spent like 3 months on mine, and it's still, you know, I'm proud of it. It's a no budget thing. We all had fun, and there are some really good friends now, like the people I made it with. I met them all at film festivals.
Oh, okay.
And
Cool.
you know, somewhere in California, Florida, the person who edited the movies in Britain. So, like, yeah, this is all friends that I met through festivals. Yeah, it's cool. You know, I did do something during the pandemic, as the hellfire that it was, and the worst year of my life. I still did something, so I'm happy about that.
And also, if you didn't do anything during the pandemic, that's okay too.
Absolutely. I don't want to shame anybody for that. Like,
Yeah.
I can't believe I even did something. I think the only reason that we even got off our asses to do it, and believe me, all of us were like, okay, you know, like, we're like, we have to do it. Like, it's a good idea. We got to do it. And so it was even dragging our feet for that. Like, a pandemic is a full-time job.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
emotionally,
really.
Physically, it's just a full-time job. Like, I couldn't even get out of bed most days. So no shame on anyone not doing it.
Yeah.
If you just got vaccinated and stayed alive, you did everything you needed to do.
Yeah. But honestly, between hosting Mondo and you know, all of the stuff Tom's done with District Comedy, I'm only sane today because of that.
Yeah.
Because, like, for me, if I go too long without performing or creating something, I just get really depressed and in a horrible mood, and I don't know why. And then I perform and I feel like amazing afterwards, and it's like, oh, that's what I was missing. Like, it's almost like a personality disorder or something.
Yeah, no, totally. It's like, it's that hole in your stomach that can never be fed. It's just constant. But I didn't listen to all of Mike's episode, but I listened to some of it. Mike Ridgway. I was gonna say Roz too. Like, Roz, I'm sort of part. I'm not the face of Mondo Baltimore like Roz is.
Mhm.
I'm kind of in the background, but that is also something I'm proud of all of us for keeping that going for every week for the entire pandemic. Like Roz has literally entertained a good healthy group of people once a week for the entire pandemic.
Usually while drunk.
Usually while drunk, but you're doing a great job, and I'm proud of all of us for just keeping it going because it would have been
Yes.
easy not to do it.
So we actually did give Mondo a plug at the beginning of the show, but Bob is one of our committee members.
Yeah, I'm on it too. So I
Yeah.
didn't want. I think I'm the one who suggested Roz become a host. So
Yeah.
because like we had a host for about 10 years, and he very validly tired of doing it.
Yeah.
So we wanted new people to do it, and I knew Roz was funny, and I was like, what about Roz? And everyone was like, yes. So that happened what, like a year before the pandemic?
Yeah, about a year before the pandemic. Yeah.
Yeah.
And and then originally it was going to be like rotating hosts, but then
Everyone just failed.
Ridgeway and I were just kind of the ones that kept showing up. So
Yeah.
which is fine. I mean, we both love doing it. It's just
Yeah.
Basically, what I'm hearing is between me and Bob, we basically saved your life. Okay, maybe not.
You're
maybe not.
welcome.
For those of you listening, Roz's face says that no. Just
No.
if a facial expression was ever just the word no, that's what it was.
I will say my partner probably thanks you for making me a more pleasant person throughout the year he's been trapped inside with me.
No, but like before we started doing these shows, very similarly, like I was super depressed. Part of that was also trying to finish grad school at the same time. It's like getting
And during a
locked out.
pandemic, right? Yeah.
But yeah, and I think that like in general, because we did like talk about mental illness a little bit before we aired, that like that's a little bit of it too, is that like comedy is like something that a lot of people use as like not just a coping mechanism, but a lot of it is kind of like therapy. So it's like with that, it also I find kind of attracts that kind of crowd, the comedy, like the people who kind of need to be creative and need to perform,
Or like
that's why, because they'll get depressed.
I mean, I don't know if I could say this for myself, but I definitely feel it socially. There's an addiction to laughter, just making other people laugh.
Yeah.
That's been severed from everyone. Even, I mean, Zoom is fine and everything, but like making a crowd laugh, that's like a drug, right? It's serotonin that you just can't get in this world currently.
Yeah. We've talked a lot with the comedians we've had on about Zoom mics, and that's kind of one of the things that everyone talks about is like, it's a great way to try out material. It's a great way to, hit like 5 mics at once, especially like you've got physical limitations or you're in the middle of Montana and you can't drive for 5 hours, but everyone says the one thing they miss is the laughter being organic or being easy to hear. Because, 9 times out of 10, if I'm on Zoom, I'm like muted and camera off and I'm doing a bunch of disgusting things. So,
while listening to comedy.
yeah, exactly.
A bunch of disgusting. Like underneath the camera angle, or just
from every
cameras
angle?
off.
from every
Just, like,
angle
covered in
outside the
shit.
box? Yeah. It's just,
Yeah.
her whole wall is covered in shit outside of the shot we see right now.
Yeah, this is just a background. This isn't a wall. But okay, so moving on from my disgusting behavior. Bob, this was something I was genuinely wondering, so I actually wanted to ask this question. So for people who have seen your films or people who are going to, which I highly recommend because I think they're a lot of fun.
Thank you.
There's like this really cool like surrealism aspect to it where stuff just kind of comes out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
And so like how does that happen? Like, do you sit down and write a script and the stuff happens, or like what's your creative process like?
with every short you've seen of mine, there was a script. I realize that seems insane that there was, but there is a script because honestly, for anyone that hasn't seen it, they're extremely silly, and they visually, I guess you could, they do look kind of like a Tim and Eric short. A lot of it is supposed to be effects that do look fake on purpose, like green screen type of stuff, but they're very heavily edited and planned out. Like, so I do all the stupid random stuff I think of way before, and I do write it down. Like, it actually is written down. I have scripts. It's not just there's nothing spur of the moment. I'm like literally filming people saying you have to do this like this right now. Like I'm filming all the parts that I need, because I mean, as a job, I'm an editor, so I'm putting it together in my head. So I'm doing it all prior, all the thinking. So it's not random on the spot. And it's a lot of very intricate puzzle pieces I try to put together.
But then is there also
whether it works or not, I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Is there an aspect of like improvisation that goes with it too? Because I'm thinking recently I rewatched Merry Gentlemen, which is a short that Bob filmed. Was it like 98 degrees out or something?
Yeah. It was like a record heat day in Baltimore, and I feel like I almost gave myself heat stroke doing it, because we were outside all day and for 2 days, and I literally sweated through all my clothes.
Oh no!
and I almost fainted, but it's worth it. But it, like, for that, Roz, like, it's not improv, but it's that was for a contest, so it was literally one shot at that script. So It sort of is improv in that way. Like, I literally just wrote it, and then you don't realize all the problems until like after it's over. You're like, oh, why didn't I do that? That's so why did I? You just realize everything wrong with it once it's over. But when you're making stuff at that speed, it is kind of improv. Mm-hmm. There's, I would say, you've seen Timecrowave. It's a short about a microwave that's immortal and sentient. And the reason I made that from the improv aspect was because I had a broken microwave. And that's why I made that. I was like, well, I don't want to throw this thing away. What can I do with it? And then it turned into, okay, some guy fucks it, and then like a god shoots it with its sperm from space, and then it's immortal, and then all this other shit happens. I was like, I guess that's writing though. I don't know if that's writing or improv, but that's how it happened. Is I had a broken microwave, which is still sitting in the house, broken.
Okay.
That's really interesting.
You still have the Timecrowave.
But sorry, it's almost like you're like writing it in kind of like an improv-ish mindset, and then from then everything's super well planned to get it back to where it looks like it's improvised.
Something. Yeah, like I'm not trying to say I know what I'm doing. I don't. I often fear the fact that I have a script podcast. People will watch my films and go, what the fuck is this guy have any right to say anything? But I would say that if you watched my shorts and you actually cared, there's actually like setups and payoffs that it's not as random as it might appear. Like, I'll set something up and it will be a payoff. Yeah. Whether it's good or not, I'm not trying to say, I don't know, but I try to do that. So it's not all just random. I'm just like, what if this happens now for no reason? I'm actually trying to, there is some through line there,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Sweat.
Yeah.
Cool.
So
sorry, I was relying on Roz to start the next question.
Yeah, I was kind of expecting Roz to say something.
Tom and I were actually both looking at the questions at the same time, so
that's okay.
Weird. Yeah, we're very professional on this podcast. If you can't tell from the shit break, the long discussion about tech, and the fact that my cat used to regularly attack me during our interviews.
I'm kind of waiting for that.
That happens at Mondo, so I'm used to it. And also, like, I was thinking that right before I asked if I could take a shit break. I was like, what's the more professional thing to do here? Is it to be in pain the entire hour and give a mediocre, like, half-assed interview? Or do I just be like, look, if you want this to be
I'm totally fine with, I pick poop in that situation every time.
Yeah, you got to, man. You got to. It's the adult thing to do.
Also, just the beautiful thing was like, so when we do Laughing into the Void, we have a 5-minute countdown timer, and we were talking, and Bob was just about to ask for a bathroom break, and then Tom goes, "Okay, we're starting."
And we're live.
I don't know how it happened through Zoom, but Bob's eyes just met mine in this moment of perfect, clear understanding.
It's like when someone gives you that poop look.
Yeah, I was like, it's gonna happen. I mean, I just can't. I'm not, like, I don't know. I'm 38, so I'm trying my best not to shit my pants anymore. Like, that's like, you know what I mean? Like, because I'm not saying there's anything wrong with shitting your pants, but like, there is kind of like the sadness that goes with you shit your pants. You're like, what? You're like, you start rethinking. It's like if you have sex with someone you're not proud of. It's like you shit your pants and you're like, where am I in life? Should I go back to school? Type of thing.
Shitting yourself and having sex with people that you regret having sex with. Both great for academia.
Yeah.
Really powering the school system.
Because they need it. But anyway, take it away, Roz.
Okay, so I was going to say, since we've been talking about, what a huge influence film is on your life, and you're a member of the Mondo Committee, so a lot of the movies that we show are things that you suggest.
Not a lot. I usually save my morsels, but we have a pretty big committee.
Well, okay, you're part of the screening process.
Yes, I am.
Say.
Correct.
So, this is something we actually debate about a lot in the Mondo Committee when we're picking movies, but what do you think makes a movie good for Mondo? Like, what about a movie makes it something that is so funny that we want to show it to people?
So I feel like not only do I talk about this with Mondo people, but I talk about it for Bonus Disc too, because it's the same rules. For the actual show to be funnier, either the podcast or the live Mondo performance, I feel like certain movies don't work that people assume would, and it's movies that don't work are the ones that are trying to be bad on purpose. I think that's number one rule, is if it's trying to be bad on purpose. Not that I have anything wrong with that, not that I don't like some of those movies. It's not fun to make fun of.
Yeah.
It's not fun to comment on. It's because the filmmakers are already doing it. The movie itself is commenting on bad filmmaking. So people sitting there making fun of it. I'd point to us for Mondo. We did Velociraptor, which I actually Velocipaster, which is yes. Come on. If you haven't seen it, I think it's actually a solid, supposed to be bad movie. I actually didn't hate it.
I really like the soundtrack a lot.
Yeah. No, there's aspects of it.
Yeah.
I've actually screened at festivals with Velocipaster. I think it's a solid movie for what it's trying to do. For our purposes, it did not work. It was like the comments in the comments section were literally just saying the jokes. They're like, that doesn't even look real. And I'm like, it's not supposed to look real. It's, you can't make fun of a movie that's doing it intentionally. Also, I would say for Mondo, the best type of movie to point to would be older. For some reason, older bad movies are more fun to, collectively berate than I don't know. I mean, there's some movies we've done that have been newer and I've enjoyed those, but that, horror films from the 70s, 80s, and 90s, horror, sci-fi, action from that era is just, I don't know. I feel like that's where all the fandom comes from for this type of thing.
Does The Room fall into that at all?
I mean, The Room's great. The Room is also kind of like the most popular, sincere bad movie, right?
The Room was the first Mondo movie, wasn't it?
Yeah, I believe it was. Yeah, I was not a part of Mondo even when that happened. So,
because Mondo's been going on 11 years.
11 years?
Yeah. It'll be 11 years in June. Yeah.
And
The
Room
specifically, it did it got a gathering, especially when the James Franco everything.
Yeah. And The Room is great. I love The Room. Don't get me wrong. I even like that movie, the James Franco thing. But The Room, if Tommy Wiseau after The Room, everything he's made, Tommy Wiseau is aware of why The Room is popular now, and it's like, dude, it's not funny anymore because you're in on the joke.
Yeah.
The Room's not in on the joke, and that's why The Room is great.
Sad, you're ruining the movie for us.
Your non-sincerity is ruining the movie. Yeah, so not that he's not funny just as a person, but he gets it now. So The Room 2 would probably not be funny. Birdemic 2, if you ever heard of Birdemic?
Mm-hmm.
Birdemic is a movie, we showed it at Mondo. It's a movie where it's really badly shot, and the birds, they're like it's kind of Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds, but if the birds were like little gifts. Like literally they're gifts, and it's supposed to be serious. It's not supposed to be funny. They just look terrible. The guy that made that movie, he got a lot of fame from that movie for how bad it was. He ended up making a Birdemic 2, which totally was in on the joke, and it was like, I don't want to watch this now. He knows why he's popular. Okay, it sucks.
There's like a quality of pureness and like earnestness that you're trying to make something, that it's hard to put into words, I think.
No, so it has to be sincere, I think, but also it's sincere but incompetent. Like, that's important, I think that's what qualifies anything for me. Then again,
my comedy style.
I think that's
comedy's a different beast completely. And I don't think that can't be true.
I'm genuine and incompetent.
That's also a good t-shirt.
I think that's my next performance review at work.
That is a good t-shirt.
Genuine and incompetent.
We're gonna have merch again. Don't worry. Oh god.
Yeah.
But okay, so we can talk about other stuff if we still have time and if you want to. But like I said at the top, we also end with the same question for every guest. So I just want to throw it out there real quick. But we also ask, what's up next for you? And then that can be like the stuff immediately on the horizon that maybe you want to plug. But also I appreciate hearing with the creative people, like what their goals
my cat
are.
In the background.
Oh, there's the cat. There,
he lusts for my blood.
To make his cameo before we ended.
Yeah.
But also like kind of where you see yourself longer term with the filmmaking stuff and with the podcasting. I know you said earlier that it's like, well, I don't make money from this stuff, but that would be cool.
That would be cool. Yeah, like I think. How do I say this without sounding completely depressing and dark? The pandemic itself has shifted my life priorities completely. And that goes with that really affects creativity that I don't think I've seen how that's going to affect my creativity going forward, but I'll say this, like, I want to keep making stuff. Obviously I have no plan, and I used to feel like I had to have a plan all the time. And now I'm just happy to be alive. So I'm going to just make stuff at moments when I feel I should, instead of worrying about where I'm going, because of the last year of my life and the last year of everyone's life. You know what I mean? I'm just really grateful. I had a very emotional, I don't know if I even let this out, Roz, like with my friends, but I had a pretty emotional first 6 months of that pandemic. Like I was pretty sure I was going to die from it and everything. Like I'm a hypochondriac. I'm overweight. I was just assuming that I was like, I'm going to die from this thing. This is it. It's over. So if I make it through to any, I'm going to try to shift some priorities, and maybe instead of self-flagellating over the fact that I haven't done something, I can maybe just enjoy being with the people I love.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to sound like enlightened or anything.
No,
I'm
but
not.
it's beautiful.
Yeah, I really don't think it's enlightenment. It's just maybe I put too much. I have friends who sometimes I think put too much weight on the quantity of things that they do. And I used to be that guy. The last 10 years of my life, I did everything. I mean, name it, I did it. Like when I wasn't making films, I was doing theater stuff. When I wasn't doing that, I was doing podcasts. When I wasn't doing that, I was doing live shows. I did literally everything, and I had to be everywhere. And I don't regret it. But I don't know if I need to do that anymore. I think I'm just going to be creative for me
on your own terms.
Yeah, on my own terms. So so maybe I can find some happiness in the solace.
Aww.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll give that a try one day.
Yeah, I mean, try, man.
Yeah.
You deserve it.
That's awesome. Oh God, no! Now I don't accept it, and now you became too directly nice to me. And I can't.
Oh, I'm sorry. Fine, you don't deserve it. Yeah.
Thank
okay.
you.
Yeah. You don't deserve happiness. Okay.
All right. Awesome Blossoms. That brings us actually almost perfectly to time. So I'm just gonna spotlight myself again real quick. Give us a little outro. But that's all the time we have for today. I want to thank you, Bob, for being such a great guest.
Thank you.
Giving me life advice at the end.
Sorry for that 7 minutes at the beginning.
No, that was the part that
that was the
really
life advice.
Enlightening. Yeah.
Always choose the poop.
Sometimes you gotta poop. But anyway, thanks for hanging out with us. You can find him on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at ThunderGruntBob. Thank you, Roz, for being a great co-host as always, and a big thanks to you, our audience, if you're out there, for watching the program. If you enjoyed the stream, please consider making a donation or following us on social media. Find the links to those in the episode description. And yeah, without you guys, we wouldn't be laughing into a void. We'd just be laughing, and who wants that? But yeah, and tune in next week for who we're gonna interview, which I forgot to make a note of. But we'll post about it. It's gonna be good. It's always good. So just come.
Great.
Same
We'll
time,
be there.
same place. Yeah.
Send them an email early and tell them to use the bathroom before the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think laughing into the toilet is gonna be the secret to this. Anyway, bye.